no joke. We're here to talk about the Jester. Alright, so let's start off with the IMDb plot. Malevolent being known as the Jester terrorizes the inhabitants of a small town on Halloween night, including two estranged sisters who must come together to find a way to defeat the evil entity. Alright. Is there a horror movie called Evil Entity? If there's not, there needs to be. I'll Google that after this. Anyway, this is a new one here, recently released. I think it had a limited theater, and now it might be on demand. I think I could have that wrong, but it is anyway. Regardless, a new movie, so try to keep this as spoiler free as possible. And if I'm not mistaken, this one is based on a series of short films called The Jester. And I know I saw at least one of them. I guess I think there's more than one if I'm not mistaken. And that it wasn't too bad. I kind of enjoyed these pretty creepy in the short films. And so long and behold, we have now the full-length movie here. Again, I'm not sure, how closely this film follows all the shorts. Obviously, based on the same character, at least. So I guess that's at least the place to start. And just kind of thinking about it, and I guess I'll get it off of the top. Regardless of how I feel, and we'll find out how I feel about the whole movie here in a moment. I think that it is worth noting, and regardless how you guys feel when you've seen this already, or if you're going to see this, I think there should be a more of an effort here to take short films like this and turn them into features. Not all short films obviously can, and based on the plot or whatever's going on, and some are worthy of it, some are just happy and content being shorts, but I would rather see, I've seen a lot of good shorts, and I think, a lot of the times they present good ideas, and sometimes, their fault may be the budget, their fault may be, inexperienced actors or whatever. There's sometimes there's something in there that might not just go right for it, but doesn't mean it's not a bad idea. So, I think as opposed to having sequels and remakes and all this nonsense that goes on and on and on, we should give more of a chance to films like this to come alive on a bigger screen. So that is my little preach here before I really get into this movie, because I saw a headline recently that said 2024 is going to be the year of sequels and remakes, and I'm just like, why? Yeah, there are some sequels that I want to see, but I mean, that I preach for original stuff all the time, and I think this is one way to go about it. So, getting my little preaching out of the way there, the Jester, yeah, he is, kind of what you would expect, sort of, as far as the way he kind of looks and is. Never really going to say anything, and is just going to be kind of a haunting figure, kind of behind you, in front of you, around you, and so forth. And, in ways he can kind of control things and do things. Obviously, he's a supernatural being or entity, whatever you want to call it. So, he can kind of maneuver things around without having to actually touch them and so forth. So, all kinds of scary elements with him. And what he does at the beginning of the film is he gets a father to basically commit suicide. A father who has some regrets. He has two daughters, and he's kind of trying to make peace with them, and is unable to do so, and then the Jester takes his life. And in turn then focuses on the two daughters here. Two daughters who have not, who are sisters, and not have spent much time together, or really at the end of the day care all that much about each other, for different reasons. And so the Jester kind of takes upon that to then kind of torture the both of them and see, and then I guess for the rest of the movie, you can kind of see, can the sisters come together to defeat the Jester, or can they even just overcome whatever issues they personally have to overcome the Jester. And, along the way, the Jester's going to torment some other people and kill some other people because we have to have some other people here to mess around with as well. So that's kind of the gist of what is happening here. Um, I guess the way I'll say it is I liked him. I liked him and what he brought to the table, some of the stuff he does. There's a scene where he terrorizes two kids, or two kids are trick-or-treating, and the little bit of an older one is kind of, being the bully or being the older one. I think they were brothers, if I'm not mistaken. But, kind of just being a little ass. And the Jester kind of comes along, and at first it seems like he's going to help the little one and in his own unique way, and kind of ends up kind of scaring both of them at the same time, and then they end up running away. But that was a fun little scene there. Kind of nothing to do with anything that's with the sisters or anything, but was definitely an interesting and fun scene anyway. Even when the father, and how he dies at the beginning was kind of interesting. So I liked his look, liked what they did with him, and liked a lot of the things the Jester did. The unfortunate thing about him is the entire time I'm watching him, I'm also thinking of Art the Clown. So, it is one of those things where, you want it to be original, but then you're thinking, in your head the entire time, this is another version of Art. Like, he's doing the same, he doesn't talk, he's kind of clown-like. You know, Art can kind of be kind of goofy at times, and I don't think the Jester was necessarily goofy too much. Um, and obviously, they each have their own purpose, but you just really can't disconnect completely there. I try to give the Jester all his worth there, and do so, but I just couldn't keep that out of my head. So there's that. So sometimes you have one movie beats you to the punch the other. So not saying anybody stole anything from anybody, but it just, the similarities are there, at least in my mind. Um, Besides that, the undertone of the movie, has a seriousness to it. It is about grief. The two sisters have issues. It is about their issues. So, there's a little bit of a serious kind of tone with it as well. And I didn't liked that too much. I would have rather, the Jester kind of go more on his way and just kind of go along and kind of kill people in more of a maybe different kind of atmosphere without all that kind of hanging on, because there's issues of grief and other kind of issues going on here between the sisters. And I don't know, that kind of the plot there just wasn't really doing it totally for me there. Um, so, in the end of the day, I applaud the effort here. The movie's okay. The acting was okay. I wasn't overwhelmed by it in a good way, and wasn't, terrible, but, it was okay. I again, I'm trying not to compare it with Art, not to compare it with Terrifier. I know that it's a different movie and it's its own self. It, but that and obviously Terrifier is like way up there right now. Um, so you don't want to make that comparison, but I can't help but have that in the back of my mind. This movie just doesn't come anywhere near that in my mind. Again, this wasn't terrible. It almost feels like like you do the short film and you do it one time and you're like, okay, so maybe you make a second one and maybe it's a little bit better. So maybe I don't know what they have planned for the Jester. Obviously, they could bring it back. I don't think that's a spoiler or not. when you're dealing with this kind of thing. You can always come back. So it's one of those things where, if they did do a sequel down the line, maybe they can make it a little bit better. Maybe, a different storyline, something like that. I don't know. I just the seriousness of the whole plot and everything. Like I just didn't. I don't know. There was just something I'm guessing it's that. It's just something I just didn't like there. I kind of wanted it, to be a little bit more about the Jester just kind of killing people, almost a slasher, more like a slasher movie. And it just seemed like some of the other plot was just kind of getting in its way. And like I said, as much as I enjoyed the scene with the kids, it really didn't have anything to do with anything, otherwise being a scene to fill time and show a little bit more about what the Jester can do. Um, I wish, maybe it was a little bit more of the Jester just doing his thing and maybe not, being so involved with these girls and why, um, what happened to them. So, with that all said, I'm, and after giving the whole preach about, doing more short films, I'm just going to give this one 2 pools of blood out of 5. It was okay. Again, I liked the character. I like what he brings to the table. I just wish they would have done something different with him. And, it is, like I said, unfortunate that he does seem a little bit Art the Clown-like, sort of, in a way. Um, so, it is what it is. Maybe not the best example of why he should do more short films into movies. Although this one seemed to make okay money. I don't know what the budget was, but for starting off as a short film, and we know there's some other famous movies that were short films that became just enormous horror films and franchises and so forth. So sometimes it works. I'm just saying, let's try that more often than not, than these damn sequels and remakes, and don't even get me started with other stuff. Okay, I'll stop. Knock it off here. Anyway, so that is two pools of blood out of 5, and horrorreviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews, written and video. Obviously, tons of video ones recently. So subscribe, like, do all those things that everybody wants you to do. If not, no worries, it's okay. If you're into the sequels and remakes and you hate me for it, you don't have to like or subscribe. Twitter, Facebook, information down below as well. Reach out to me there, still hanging around there. Feel free to talk horror with me there as well. And if you have something you want me to review, you can reach out to me there, and that's fine. And down in the comment section, again, if you see this movie, what did you think? Did you think the Jester was too much like art? Do you see the comparison there? And of course, if you kind of love or hate sequels or remakes and have an opinion on that, feel free to do so down there. So with that, I guess I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.